I am not the outdoorsy type. I don't like being outside. I like to look out the window and say, oh, it looks really nice out there without having to be out there. And I just prefer being inside. The thing is, white people are always trying to get me to go into the woods with them. And I'm like, no, I'm not going. I'm not going. Like, I grew up in primarily white spaces, so I know their ways. And white people have no concept of danger. None. Probably because they have no natural predators. I don't understand white people's fascination with the woods because the woods are designed to kill us. They're designed to kill us. Yet white people like walking in the woods and hiking in the woods, and some of them like sleeping in there. I don't get it. I don't get it. Like, if you ever see me in the woods, know that I was dragged in there against my will. That's a hate crime, by the way. I tried to escape, and now I'm lost and actively trying to die. You'll need to call for help. I know where and when my trauma surrounding the great outdoors began. When I was about 7 or 8, my parents sent me on a camping trip with my brownie troop. I didn't want to go. I remember crying in Canadian Tire as my parents bought me camping gear. A few days later, I was on a school bus with the brownie troop heading to imminent doom and danger and death as far as I was concerned, you know. But on the bright side, I could earn at least 3 badges for just going on this trip. Just for going on the camping trip. And back then, when I was a little kid, it was all about the badges. All about the badges. So I kept that top of mind, you know, like earning those badges was the only thing that was going to get me through this hell weekend, you know. But there were 2 incidents that happened during that weekend that changed my life and the way I looked at nature forever. And more than 45 years later, I still remember them vividly. Like, one activity involved looking for specific plants. So I had to be on my hands and knees combing through plants in a field. Ew. Ew. Suddenly, there was this ear-splitting screech that wasn't mine. My screeches are in like a lower octave and more of an ah than an actual screech. There was another girl foraging nearby, and she had come across what she thought was a sleeping rabbit. Turns out it was an injured, dying rabbit, and when she went to pick it up, it let out this blood-curdling, horrific scream. My brownie leader had to kill it to put it out of its misery. I was horrified and shaking, and as far as I was concerned, nature can suck it. Another time we were hiking up a hill. I was okay-ish with it because we were on a gravel road and not in the actual woods. After a few minutes of singing hiking songs as we walked, our brownie leader stopped dead in her tracks and put her arms back so that we couldn't continue. And then quietly, as she started walking backwards, she's like, "Girls, we're going to head back down now." And I remember looking past her to see what was going on. And about 200 meters up the road, there was this thing, an animal. It could have been a cow, a bear, Sasquatch, I don't know. But this thing started running after us. So we turned around and ran screaming and crying down the hill. And this was well before cell phones, so I couldn't even call my parents to say, "You better come back and get me, like now." I earned 3 extra badges that weekend. I earned the I Survived Sasquatch badge, the I Touched Dirt and Lived badge, and the I Saw My Brownie Leader Kill badge. I've tried to enjoy the outdoors numerous times since my brownie days. Some were okay, most were not. At 21, I decided to go whitewater rafting. My mother said not to go. I said it would be fine. I should have listened to my mother. It was fun and beautiful for a while. At one point, I got thrown out of the raft, and I popped up under it and started to make my way out from under the boat. But then a surge of water came and dragged me under. I got caught on something at the bottom of the river, and I started to panic. And I was like, oh my God, Mom was right. Now I'm going to die. And I was thrashing around in the water, trying to free myself when I felt someone grab me by the jacket and pull me out. And then I heard a voice say, "You're okay. You're safe. You're okay." And I was like, am I dead? Am I dead? Sort of thing. And I was floating on my back with the guide comforting me. And I was crying and spitting up water and fish. And when I finally calmed down, the guide said, "Okay, you can get up now." What? So I stood up, and I had washed up on the shore. And when I stood up, the water barely covered my ankles. Everybody burst out laughing, and I was like, what's going on? So what happened is in my panic and disorientation, I washed up into shallow water without even realizing it. I was caught on something, and I was on my hands and knees thrashing, but only my face was in the water. Everything else was not, just my face. And I was in such a panic that I didn't realize that all I had to do was this, or stand. My friends were laughing, thinking I was joking around, until one of them was like, "She really thinks she's drowning at the bottom of the river. Maybe we should help her." And that's when the guide stepped in and pulled me out. I never went whitewater rafting again. And I should have earned the "I didn't drown and die" badge that day. I tried nature again at 30 on a rainforest walking tour in Jamaica. I was creeped out and acutely aware that reptiles were in there and watching me, but thankfully I didn't see any. Towards the end of the tour, a man in the group asked the guide, "Hey, are there any snakes in here with us?" And to my horror, the guide said, "Oh my God, yes. There are usually so many that they just fall out of the trees." What? Oh, hell no. No. I ran out of that rainforest so fast I was not about to spend another minute in there. So years later, I realized that nature had been doing me solids for decades. Like nature had been taking care of me. It didn't let snakes fall on me or near me. It didn't let me drown on that whitewater rafting trip. And it didn't allow me to get attacked by Sasquatch as a child. And as a show of respect, I do not venture into nature. I do not. Because nature has enough to contend with. Thank you very much. Thank you.